Is the real estate market going to absolutely implode? Are we going to have home prices drop and have a whole bunch of foreclosures that are going to be hitting the market? So let's discuss. I'm getting a lot of comments about this. People are concerned and are asking me, is this going to be a repeat of the 2008 housing crisis? And I really understand where people are coming from, and because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. For example, that's at the time of this video, according to Johns Hopkins University, there's over 600,000 cases of COVID-19 worldwide and over 28,000 deaths due to this virus. And right now, the US just surpassed China and Italy for the most cases in the entire world. In addition, the stock market has been taking an absolute beating this year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 24% this year alone. And on top of that, we had a record number of Americans who filed for unemployment benefits last week, and that was 3.3 million people who filed in unemployment benefits claims. And that beat the previous record of 695,000 set way back in 1982. So for those of you who are counting, that's 4 times more than the previous record, and millions and more are expected to file unemployment benefit claims. I don't qualify for unemployment benefits in California, but just for fun, I went onto the webpage for that. And at the top of the page, it had this warning, and I'll read it to you. We are experiencing a large increase in claims filed and are extending our staff resources to keep up with this demand. So clearly there's a surge of unemployment claims that are going to be hitting California and all across the country. And this is really expected because all of California's non-essential businesses have been closed. In response to this pandemic affecting our economy, the House passed and Trump signed into legislation a $2 trillion stimulus package that aims to provide relief to workers and businesses that are affected by the effects of COVID-19. If you missed my previous video about this stimulus package and the details of it, I made a video about that. I'll leave a link in the description below. But basically, the package will provide the following. Hundreds of billions of dollars in credit to industries that have been really struggling during this crisis, and that would include cruise lines and airlines. A significant increase in unemployment benefits to those who normally do not qualify, and those would be gig workers, freelancers, and furloughed employees. On top of that, there's also an increase in the maximum benefits allowed, and that's going to increase it by $600 per week for the first 4 months. In addition, the stimulus plan provides direct cash payments to Americans up to $1,200 per individual and $500 per child. And altogether, this $2.2 trillion stimulus plan is the largest in American history by far. So what does this all mean for our real estate market today? And are we headed to another real estate market collapse? And the best way to answer this is to smash the like button to help support this channel, but also to take a look at what happened in 2008 and see how that compares to now. In the early 2000s, home prices were absolutely skyrocketing. And so in response, the Federal Reserve chairman at the time, which was Alan Greenspan, responded by raising the federal funds rate to curb this overheated real estate market. The Fed raised the federal fund rate 6 times, reaching 2.25% by December 2004. It raised it again 8 times in 2005, rising 2 full points to 4.25% by December 2005. In 2006, the new Fed chair, Ben Bernanke, raised the rate 4 times, hitting 5.25% by June 2006. That's a total of 18 rate hikes, or a 4% increase in just 3 years, which is absolutely insane. Why does this all matter, and how does that affect, or how did it affect our real estate market? So let me explain. What the Fed did not recognize or realize at the time, and this is a super important key aspect of this collapse, was that they did not realize how many people were actually buying houses with an adjustable interest rate loan. What the Fed also did not realize was that there was a massive amount of mortgage-backed securities that contain these bad loans that were being sold on the secondary market by investment banks in huge numbers. And that was really one of the main reasons why the market collapsed. First, let's talk about these interest-only adjustable rate loans and how they became about. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, home prices were absolutely skyrocketing in the early 2000s. And so this became more and more of a challenge for home buyers to purchase a house within their budget. Back then, it was a common notion that home prices were going to continue to soar. I mean, why would home prices ever go down, right? People also thought, I'm never going to be able to buy a home because home prices are going up so fast and interest rates are going up as well. To solve this problem of affordability, banks got creative and started offering home buyers loans where they only needed to make interest-only payments for a set term, typically 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. After that teaser period, home buyers would have to pay interest and principal. Now, a key factor here is that during this initial teaser period, which is 3 to 10 years, the interest rate was 100% adjustable. And so this means that when the federal funds rate got increased, so did your mortgage interest rate, and therefore, so did your mortgage payment. For these interest-only loans, the lender is basically saying, hey, all you have to do is pay the interest on this loan for a set period of time, up to 10 years, and don't worry about paying down the principal, at least just not yet. Therefore, the mortgage payment for these interest-only loans is a lot less per month than what you typically would see for a conventional 30-year fixed mortgage, and that is because these types of loans, you only are paying interest only and not paying your principal down at all. Because of these interest-only loans, it allowed home buyers to qualify for a more expensive house than what they would normally qualify for because their mortgage payment is so less, at least initially. At the time, people thought these interest-only loans were awesome. I mean, they could afford a more expensive house, they can make interest-only payments, and that's going to be a lot cheaper than having to pay your principal and interest. And on top of that, they don't have to worry about their mortgage payment increasing after that teaser period of 3 to 10 years when they have to start paying their principal pay down, because they can just refinance or sell their house after that teaser period is already up. Because after all, home prices are going to continue to go up and I can just sell my house or refinance. And so people thought, this is awesome. What could go wrong, right? The answer is a lot could go wrong, and a lot did go wrong. This strategy really only works if interest rates stay the same or decrease and home prices continue to rise. So what happened? Interest rates skyrocketed. Remember, they rose 18 times from 2004 to 2006 for a total of a 4% increase in the federal funds rate. And on top of that, home prices absolutely crashed as new inventory absolutely flooded the market. Because of these interest-only adjustable loans, people's mortgage payments went up when the federal funds rate went up. Plus, once this teaser period ended, their mortgage payment shot up drastically as well. And this is because they were used to paying only their interest only on their loan, but now suddenly they have to pay their interest plus principal, which increased their mortgage payment significantly. And this was a huge issue for homeowners at the time who had this adjustable interest rate loan because they could no longer afford their mortgage payment. To make matters worse, home prices decreased dramatically, and many homeowners realized that they were deep underwater with their homes, meaning that they owed far more than their home was worth. And so people were no longer able to sell their houses because they had no equity in their house. So the only option was to default and get their house foreclosed on. This created a massive amount of foreclosures all across the country. And during this time, there were areas that had 75 to 85% or more of their home sales were made up of foreclosures and short sales. Compare that to now in Sacramento County, only about 2% of our home sales are foreclosures. I won't go into too much detail here, but to make matters worse, like I mentioned earlier in this video, investment banks package these bad loans that were made up of these interest-only adjustable rate loans, as well as subprime loans, which are basically loans that were given to borrowers that are barely qualifying for a loan. But they basically package these bad loans in the form of these mortgage-backed securities. When these funds went into default, this had a rippling effect on pension funds and mutual funds who had purchased these derivatives or these mortgage-backed securities in massive amounts. And this ultimately led to our subprime mortgage crisis and the worst recession we've had since the Great Depression. If you want to see a great movie that has a lot to do with all this, is The Big Short. It's an awesome movie. Check that out. By the way, I hope you're getting a lot of value out of this video so far. And if you are, please hit the like button. That'll help support this channel. And videos like these tend to take hours to make. All I ask is for a simple like. All right, let's go ahead and dive back into the video. How is this all compared to present day? So let's discuss. Back in the early 2000s, when you can get this adjustable interest rate loan, you also could get what was called a stated income loan. And this was otherwise known as the liar loan because the lender did not ask for any income verification. Absolutely crazy. The biggest loan you can get, and they didn't even ask for verification of how much you actually make. So it would go something like this. The lender would say, how much do you make in a year? And someone would say, I make $100,000. And the lender would say, okay, sounds good to me. No need to send me any pay stubs or any tax returns. I'll just trust you. It's absolutely the worst loan program ever in existence. So basically anyone, more or less, could get a home loan back in the early 2000s. And this really created a big issue because borrowers were obviously overstating their income and were getting approved for loan amounts that they could not afford. The government responded, and in 2010, they passed what was called the Dodd-Frank Act, which was basically restricting these stated income loans. And the act basically established a number of different agencies that targeted the sectors of the financial system that basically more or less caused the financial crisis of 2008. And those would be banks, mortgage lenders, and credit reporting agencies. Therefore, government regulations made it much more challenging to get a home loan. And we no longer have these creative loan programs that basically qualify people who had no business of getting a home loan in the first place. This has created a more stable mortgage industry and therefore a stronger real estate market, which all is a great thing. On top of this, we no longer have these derivatives or these mortgage-backed securities that are filled with these bad loans. Furthermore, if you look at inventory levels now compared to 2007, 2008, the numbers are drastically different. For example, take a look at this graph from Sacramento County, and you can see here over the last 15 years, inventory, or the number of houses available for sale, really peaked in 2007 when we had over 10,000 houses available for sale, which is absolutely a crazy number. You compare that to now, we only have around 1,000 houses for sale. So that's about a tenth of the amount we had in 2007 when the market was absolutely flooded with houses for sale. In addition, mortgage rates now are significantly less than what they were in 2008. So take a look at this graph here. You can show how much the rates have fluctuated over the last 14 years. So around 2008, the mortgage rate was around 6.5%, and now the mortgage rates are only around 3.5%, so significantly less than they were in 2008. Clearly, there were a number of different factors that affected our housing and financial crisis of 2008 that are no longer present in today's market. If our real estate market today consisted of a very high amount of inventory that has flooded our market, like we saw in 2007, for example, if we saw that plus a ton of adjustable interest rate only loans with rising interest rates, and coupled that with investment banks selling these mortgage-backed securities filled with bad loans, if that was going on today, then of course we'd be in a lot of trouble. There's no doubt that COVID-19 is having an effect on our real estate market, and I really do not want to downplay this. I want to be 100% transparent with you guys. I'm a real estate agent here in Sacramento, California, and because of our California's stay-at-home order, I'm not allowed to meet any clients face-to-face, not do any open houses, and not do any showings. So it makes it really challenging to do my job right now. On top of that, we have home sellers who are taking their house off the market because they are weary of how are there going to be enough buyers for my house, and also, do I want to have strangers walk through my house during this time when we have COVID-19 going around? So what should we expect in our real estate market is that we should have less inventory, less pendings, and then fewer home sales. So do not be surprised when you see the headlines all across the news in the next couple of months that home sales decreased. Yeah, that's going to be a no shocker. Everyone knows that the home sales is going to be going down. And of course, this unemployment rate is going to continue to increase, and that's also going to have a negative impact on our real estate market as fewer and fewer people have a job and have the ability to purchase a house. Please subscribe, and I'll keep you posted with new developments. And thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you like this video. You also can follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor. I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.